All right, we made it to part 3 of our 3-part series on your advanced buttons and settings on your Virpil device. We've been working with the Mongoose T50 CM2 throttle, and so far we've done virtual detents. We've done for both startup and afterburner. We've also done the LED lights, kind of a 2.5, how to do your LED lights on here. So today we're going to dig into more of your buttons and switches and all the little things that you can do with your Virpil device. So stay tuned and we'll get started. Okay, welcome. So let's get started. I'm going to break this up into 4 different settings, and I will put timestamps here on the screen so you guys can skip to whatever you're looking for. Number 1, I'm going to go ahead and do a firmware update. I know this is not part of the buttons, however, I'm a couple updates behind and I want to make sure that we're on the same page. Number 2, we're going to go through button to access. Number 3 is going to be your switches, your toggle switches, T1 through T4. Factory out of the box, they're set up to where you switch on is one button and you switch off is still the same button, just on and off. I'm going to show you how to make it to where when you switch on, it creates one virtual button, switch off, it creates another virtual button. That'll be part of our switches, and then we'll go into the push buttons and your mode selector. Your toggle switches here are pretty much the same as your push buttons, except you have a push down, push up, and the encoders are, well, the encoders. So let's go ahead and get fired up and get going on our setup. Okay, so once again, I only have one device connected. Anytime you're doing a firmware update or anytime you are doing any kind of modifications, make sure you only have one Virpil device connected at a time. And you can see here we have my throttle CM2. I am running version 2.0.2.04, so I'm a bit outdated. So I'm going to come down. Let's go ahead and do a firmware update. Go ahead and click here. You select your path you want it to go. I'm going to leave the path right where it is. Start. So it'll be done in 5 steps. May blink. It's necessary to create a new profile after update. So if you don't want to lose your profile, then I would suggest going in. We're going to go ahead and update it, and I'll show you guys. After it updates, I'll show you how to save your profile so that you can bring it back up. Just be patient in this process. It's going to flash. It's going to do a bunch of crazy stuff. Okay, so here we are. Once again, we've been through how to set this up, so I'm not going to go through it again. If you want to see how to set up your throttle or anything else after your firmware update or as your initial setup, watch the initial setup video. It's in the link in the description below. So let me get this set up real quick and we'll be right back to start on buttons. All right, here we are back from me getting everything set up on the Axis. So before you do the firmware update, I just want to show you real quick. If you go into Profile and before you do your update, you can actually save export your profile. That way you can save it to an actual document, and when you come back in, you can just re-import it, so we don't have to go through and do all your settings again. I know some people spend a lot of times dialing it in just the way they want, and you don't want to have to do that again. So let's start. Step 1 is done, firmware update. Now we're going to move on to the access to buttons. So let's go to access here. And once again, if you load up your configuration tool and you're missing your buttons and LED, just come over here to Pro, and you can see it brings up all your different settings you can do. And definitely want this. So we've already gone over on the past videos how to set up your virtual detents, both for Afterburner and access to button. So today we're just going to get these out of the way. We're going to work off of our flaps axis. Now what we do today will work on any axis you choose, whether it be your throttle, whether it be an axis on your joystick. It'll work on any axis you have. So we're working with number 3 today. You can see here as we go up and down. Number 3, and no, we don't want to rename it. So just double click on it. This is the easy way to set this up. So in here you have all your fine tuning. I leave everything alone. Down here is your dead zones. Here's your virtual axis parameters. Parameters. And then we have your special functions, mixer. I have not messed with any of this. Right here you have a curve. This is really nice on your actual joystick. You can set your curves up here as opposed to on each different plane that you may fly. So if you fly with the same curves on every plane, you can come in here and set it up. I just set all this up within DCS. I don't mess with it here. What we're going to be working on is the AB. This is access to buttons. So this is the most simple way to do this. So we're going to take our flaps and we're going to set this up with 3 different buttons. A button from 0 to 20, and then we'll have another button from 41 to 60, and another one 81 to 100. Now you can have all 5, so you can actually turn your flaps, lever, or throttle, or whatever you're using into 5 different ones. And that's real simple to do also. But we're just going to go 0 to 20 for now, 41 to 60, 81 to 100. Save. And then we're going to save to device. Any changes you make, you have to save to the actual device. So now if we come over here to button, we can see as we roll our throttle forward, or our flaps lever, you have button 73, 74, 75. Now this down here is our Windows button. I'll show you how to get to that. You just double click on VPC Joy Tester and it'll bring this window up here. And you need to go to your drop down list, select your device. Okay, now it'll pull this up so you can see all of our key buttons here. If we push other buttons, this is our actual logical button. So this is the buttons that Windows is reading. This is the button that your physical device is reading. So you can see as we roll forward and backwards, we actually don't have any buttons active yet on here. Really simple. So we're going to start with 73. Double click on your button menu. Physical button 73. We'll go save and next. Physical button 74. Save and next. Physical button 75. And save. Save to device. Remember, you have to save to your device every time. Now make sure you come in here. You'll have to select your device again from the list. So now we can see that we have 78, 79, 80, 81, 82. These 80 through 82 was not on here before. So as we roll it forward, there you go. So now we have, oh, we got something goofy going there. Oh, I set 2 buttons up at one, didn't I? Yep, look at that. So I set 75 up on both of them. So let's change this one to 74. Sorry, that was my fat fingered mistake. We'll go save. Save. That's a good example. If you want one button to do multiple deals, it is possible. So you can have one button click and have it turn your batteries on, have it turn radios on, a bunch of stuff on at once with just one push of a button. So let's try this again. So now we have 82, 81, 80. So this works good for your A10C flaps. You have flaps up. You've got takeoff flaps, landing flaps. And that's how you do that. So that is one way to do your access to buttons. So let's go in here and look at the other way. Let's clear all these out. So I'm going to go clear, save it next, clear. We're going to clear them all back out. You can see here now button 81 through 82 is clear, access. We'll go back into here. We can go clear access setup. No, cancel. Don't click clear access setup. That's my bad. Uncheck the access marks. If you clear your access setup, you have to go in and reset, recalibrate. And save, save. And now we come back over to button. And you can see that we no longer have the buttons lighting up. So we're back to where we were. So here is option 2. I've already done a tutorial on how to set access to button up as far as when you are setting it up to roll off throttle to light your engine. So let's stick with access number 3. So we'll go access number 3. Now this, if you want to dial it into a more precise percentage, you can do it here. Let's say from 1 to range, we'll say 50, or 2 to range 50 is going to result in button 128. Remember, I like to work, for me, when you're setting your buttons up personally, I like to work from my highest to lowest. That way I know how many buttons I have left. And then we'll come over here to button. We're going to come to physical button, or logical button 80. We're going to set this for 128. We're going to leave everything else normal. Save. Save to device. Okay, then we gotta go into our tester again. Choose tester. So now as we roll forward, when we hit 5%, you'll see 80 light up, or 2%, I'm sorry. So 2%, we have 80 on. You can see the button here on. We keep rolling forward. As soon as we get up above 50%, you can see down here, you can see my mouse here. As soon as we get above 50, so here's 50. We hit 51, it'll turn off. And there you go, now it's off. So, and then clear down to 0%, it's off. So from 2 to 50%, it is on, and then as soon as we get out of 50%, it is off. This is another way to set it up where you can still use your access for other things, but maybe within a certain percentage, you want something to be active. I don't know kind of what you would use that for. Me personally, I don't see a use for it. with my flying styles. But that is just an idea of your access to buttons. That's also how you set up your throttle. You set it up the same way up here, except this would be axis number 1 and axis number 2 for your left and right engine. And I set mine up from 2% to 5%. So when you barely roll it up, you hit your 2%. You can set it up to start your engine. I've already done a video on that, so we won't go through that again. But that is button to axis. Now we're going to set up our toggle switches. We're going to mess with T1 through T4, our actual toggles here. So if we come down here and we look at our tester, as we flip, we'll be working with toggle 4. You flip toggle 4 on, it turns button 37 on. You flip it down, it turns it off. So it does act as a true toggle. The problem I find is within DCS now, other games, they do have a toggle on and toggle off. I believe a lot of your flight simulators, to where when you actually toggle the switch on, it'll keep whatever you have set up toggled on. You switch it off, it'll switch it off. Within DCS, say you want to set up your APU. Well, APU, you have APU on as one button and APU off as another button. Well, this is only one button, as you see here. So you'll turn your APU on, but when you flip your switch off, your APU will stay on. So let's show you guys how to create 2 buttons out of your switch. So let's go to button, and we need to find which one we are. So we're working with 47 and 48. You can see this is 2 physical button pushes, yet it's only one logical button. So we're going to switch it to where this is its own button. So up is on. So if we scroll up on our list here, how I do it, as I go through, and you can see we're dealing with 47 and 48. So if we look at our physical button, you will see we have 46 and 48. We do not have a 47. So we want to come down here to button number 81. We are going to change this to button 47. We are going to leave it under normal because we want this as a button, not a switch. So if we go save, and then we go back up to button 46, okay, so that's normal there. And we'll go save VPC device. And we have to select our device again here. So now when we flip our switch up, we have button 37. When we flip our switch down, we have button 81 go on and off. So what this has done is this has turned this into 2 separate buttons. Once again, this is your virtual buttons. This is what Windows sees. So now you can set 37. You can see 37 is on, 81 is off now. So button 37, you can set as APU on, and then APU off as button 81. And now you have a switch that turns your APU on and off. So that is how you set your switches up as a button up and down. Now, if you are playing in a simulator where you have your switch set up, so let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and clear both of these out. Clear, save and next, clear. Oh, it didn't clear out. Clear, save. There we go. So now we will save VPC device. So we just turn this back into the switch where it's a actual toggle switch. Go back here, select our device. So now you can see 79 and 80, we flip up and down, it's back to 37 on and off. So this, and you can see down here when you flip up, it actually is on, and when you flip down, it is off. So if we go into button 47, 48, because we're working with button 47, 48. So if we go into normal and we change this to switch, save, I'll show you what it does a little different here. I know a lot of people think, oh, switch it to switch and we'll be fine. It doesn't actually create two buttons. Let it read. Oh, cool, we stayed active this time. So now instead of it switching and staying on, it'll turn on off, and then you switch down, on off. This would be good if you want to set it up, for instance, a battery within DCS. Once again, I mainly play DCS, so this is more based around DCS, where your battery is just it doesn't have an on and off within the settings. It just has an on, at least with the A10C, and in the Jets I fly, it just has a on, and off is one button. So now you can use this as one button. So you flip it on, it'll just flip on and off, down, on and off. So flip a switch up, it's like pushing a button and letting go. You flip it down, it's like pushing the same button and letting it go. So that is what the switch does, is it switches it on and off, and then you switch it down, on and off. Button 41, on and off, down. So this is only button 37, so it just switches it on and off real quick, and on and off. That's what the switch mode does. So now if we change this to toggle on, for the switch, it's going to be the same as normal because it is toggling on. So that really does it as far as your switches. That's a couple different ways you can use them. That's where you can use it in a way to create two different buttons. You flip the switch up as one button, you flip the switch down as one button, or if you flip it up, it toggles on and off, and then you flip it down, it toggles on and off. So button A, or the first version, would be used for if you have an on and off setting for APU, landing gear down, landing gear up is two separate ones where you can set it up to where up is landing gear up, down is landing gear down. That's your first option. And then going the second route would be if you want to set your switch up on a button for like your battery to turn it on and off as a single button. So you'd flip it up, it would turn it on and off real quick, flip it down, turns it on and off. So now let's move on to part 4, which is the push buttons. Okay, so we have, these are also push buttons. They are a momentary switch, but you push them up. You can see you push them up and hold it, it'll stay on. You let go, off. It's the same with all the buttons. You hold it, it'll stay on. You let it off, it'll turn off. This is normal mode. So let's explain what we see right here, first of all. So logical button is what Windows sees. Physical button is your physical button pushed. So you can see physical button 52 is saved here. Your mode is how you want your switch or button to react when you push it. Your shift is your mode dial. So you have 5 different modes. And you can see you can shift 1 here. If you go down here, shift 2, shift 3, shift 4, shift 5. Now this is all your B1 through B2 buttons. And you can see right here so button 49, which is B1, is logical button 38. So when we look down here, we pull this up. So when you push here, you can see logical button 38. And that is if we are set on dial 1. So if we come down here and we switch to dial 2, so we'll switch to dial 2. Now what's going to happen is you're going to push B1. You're still hitting physical button 49. But since you've shifted to 2, it's gonna fire to Windows as button 56. So you have 56. We go to 1, 38. If we go to 4, now you fire button 68. You can see if we come down here to 4, it's still physical button 49, but it's firing 68. So if you want to take any of your button and switches that you have on here, so for example, we'll take T5. So let's push down on T5. That is button 55. So we want button 55 to work. So we're going to go button 80. Physical button is going to be 55. Okay, we're going to leave the mode normal and then shift 2. So now save. This is kind of to explain the mode dials. And sorry, this is a long video, I know, but I want to get you as much information as possible. If you're finding any value at all in anything that we have gone over so far, consider subscribing. I do videos like this all the time. Make sure to hit that like button and a little bell icon if you want more videos like this. So now we can see down here button 80. We just created a new logical button. So button 55, which is toggle down, is 45 here. So if we shift to 2 now, because we created one on 2, we push down, now you can see it's firing button 80 and 45. It shouldn't be firing 45 also. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. You have to come up here. And you do have to change this one also. So you do have to change the shift button. That's my bad. Getting in a hurry. I'm not perfect. Let it load. Let it read. Select our device. Okay, so now on dial 1, you can see we have 45. 55 is firing at 45, so that's telling me that 55 on mode 1 is firing button 45. So we switch to mode 2. Let's scroll down here. You can see now we created button 55 on mode 2 is firing button 80. So that's how your shift dial works. So you can see you can go in here and really set it up. We can go clear up to 128 buttons. So now that we've talked about the shift, let's talk about different modes and what they do. So we'll just play with button, we're going to play with B1, so button 49. Come back up here, find our button 49. We're going to be on 1. This is the same no matter whether you're using a toggle, the push buttons, any of the buttons on your actual throttle and your hat buttons. It's all the same. Any button that you move around and it moves around up here, we can adjust. So for now, we're going to just play with button 49, and I want to show you the differences in the modes. So the logical button, once again, is Windows. That's what it's firing virtually to Windows. Physical button is physical button pushed on the device. Your mode is what is going to happen when you push that button. Your shift is your mode dial. So right now this is on mode 1. If you didn't want anything on it, you can change that to 0. You can actually set a shift up to where you flip a switch, and you see we have all the different shifts here, and you can have it shift there too. So we're going to leave this on 1. Okay, so on normal mode, with everything set up on normal, on button 49, sorry, lost my train of thought. Let's go back to button 49 here. you'll see when we push the button, it fires it to logical button 38. You hold it, you let off. So on, off, on, off. Okay. So now let's go in here and change the mode to inverted. By changing the mode to inverted, what's going to happen now is the button will stay active. And we'll just show you. Okay, so let's go back over to our tester. So now you can see button 38 is on, and when we push it, it turns off. So it inverts the button. So instead of it being off when you let off, it's on when you let off. Okay, so now let's look at when we turn it to a, so if we turn it to a switch, what a switch is going to do is it's going to be the same as normal mode. So switch is going to be the same as normal. When you push the button in, we'll just go ahead and show you. That way you can see. When you push the button in, it'll be on. When you let off, it'll be off. But it does it faster. So when you push the button down, it'll go on off real fast. And then when you let off, so we'll just show you. So when you push it down, you can see it fires an on and an off. Even though I'm still holding it, it doesn't hold it on. When you let off, it fires an on and an off. Okay. So that's the switch mode. Fires on and then off. And you can go in here and you can create a delay if you wanted. You can click delay and it'll actually delay the button. So let's go to toggle on. Okay, and you can see here, sometimes it'll stay on your device. So now if we push the button, it does the same as a switch, except when you let off, it doesn't fire on and off. So you can see you push it, fires on, fires off. Then when you let off, it doesn't do anything. So with the switch, when you push in, it fires on and off. When you let off, it fires on and off. I don't know of anybody that would need that for any reason. But so toggle off is the same thing except just backwards. So soft toggle would be one that you might use. And we'll show you what soft toggle does. Once again, this will work on any of your buttons and switches. So soft toggle might be a good one for your comms. So if you want to push a button, we'll show you here. So now what soft toggle does is when you push the button, it stays on. So that might be a good comm zone where you push the button, your comms will stay open. And when you push it again, it turns it off. So basically it turns it into a push button on and off switch. And that is all I want to go through the encoders or for the encoder dials. I don't mess with any of the encoders. They all work fine for me. So let's put this back on normal and save. Save. So that is really the mode settings on the switches. That's kind of different modes and different ways you can set it up so that you can have a button essentially be a switch. You can have a switch be two buttons. I showed you guys the mode where you can change your different modes. You can set your switches up on different modes. And I need to set this back up. There we go. Okay. And now we're going to move on to LEDs. All right, let's go over LEDs. Unfortunately, Virpil has some room to develop in your RGB settings, your LED settings. as far as I'm concerned. It's very, very difficult to figure out. From what I have figured out, we have, which I've showed you guys how to do your afterburner virtual detents. Watch that video to see how to set your LEDs up on that. And then on the second video, I showed you guys how to set it up to where when you hit or your afterburner LED light up, so that instead of a switch to turn on and off for your afterburner, it's just a LED indication when your throttle hits a certain percentage on your axis. For me, I have mine set at 80. I found that it's been 80% in the F16, the F18C, the F15. All those have been 80%, but then when you jump over into the MIG and that, it goes to 50%. So you can change that within here, down here to your axis to buttons, or you can change it within DCS using your curves. That's up to you. But one thing I did want to note is on the last video, your LED to the LED afterburner, we did set it up to where when you roll your throttle forward, you hit 80%. We changed this here to a button to match up with your button axis. Once again, I'm not going to go through this again. I'll leave a link in the description below so you guys can check that video out and see how to do it. But I did want to note that whenever you do that, you do lose your mode 5. So mode 5 then goes away and is activated by your throttle to button. So what you have to do is create a throttle to button and then change your button here to match that, and then you can change your RGB there so that you can get a visual. Now by doing that, you do lose your 5th mode. It basically says that when you're in afterburner, it switches to mode 5. So I would go through all of your mode 5s. You can see all your shift 5s. I would make sure to go in and just clear them out. So if you clear all these out, and then we go save. So now you can see now we only go up to mode 4. So this mode 5 doesn't do anything. I just wanted to make a note of that so that you guys are aware that by using the LEDs as an afterburner, visual afterburner, see that you're within there, you do lose your mode 5 selector completely. So you still have 1 through 4. That still gives you a lot of options. But if you do want your number 5 selector, then I would go with the virtual axis to detent, so that when you flip your switch on and off, it basically just turns the light on and off. I'll leave links in the description below to part 1, part 2, part 2.5, which is your part 1 is your fuel cutoff for starting your engines. Part 2 is your afterburner, virtual afterburner. 2.5 is your LED afterburner, and this is version 3, finally episode 3, video 3, whatever we want to call it. I hope this helps a lot of you guys. Once again, don't be afraid to go in there and make some changes, get this thing set up the way that's best for you. If you have any questions at all, please leave a comment below. If you have any insight on the LEDs, on maybe how we can get those set up better, or some guidance for me, because once again, I've played with it, the LEDs, that is, and I cannot get it figured out as far as being able to go in and set one LED to one button and stuff. Don't know if it's possible yet. I know Virpil's continuously working on their software to make it better, but I digress. I will leave you guys now. Hope you enjoyed this video. Once again, hit that like button if it helped you out. If not, leave a comment below on anything that I might be able to help you guys with as far as the Virpil software. I'm not by any means an expert at it, but I have played around within the software. I've flown jets with DCS. I will be doing a video on setting up a jet from start to finish on how I set it up within DCS using my HOTAS. So hope everybody has a great day. Sorry for the long video, and we'll catch you on the next one.